world. I'm Matt Rich, filmmaker, director, and also host of this show. That's Rich. Today we've got a bit of a special program. It's this concept that I came up with. I'm going to explain it real quick. Basically what we're going to be doing is we've got this expensive camera we've been playing around with, and we're going to be doing something that's called a reboxing. So basically we've got 10 minutes to rip this camera apart, put it in the box. And while we're going to be doing that, we're going to be explaining the specs and everything. And then we're gonna give a verdict. We're gonna say, do we want to return the camera or do we want to keep it? So in the end of the reboxing, if we don't agree on the reboxing video, on the reboxing verdict, we boxing. It'll make sense. Anyways, without further ado, here's my guest, Tom McNamara, already boxing the air. How's it going, Tom?
Getting warmed up. What's up, Matt Rich? How you doing?
Doing good. Tom's a great DOP. How about let's just get right into it. Let's start the timer. We've got 10 minutes. This should normally take, I think, 20. Let's try to make it happen. All right.
First of all, I don't like to call it rip apart. I call it strip apart.
Okay.
Because I'm not ripping this camera apart for no man.
Less dangerous, also sexier. Stripping,
Exactly.
Much sexier. So, all right. So we've got the timer going. What is this? Is this a necklace or no? Where should I put this?
It can be. Leave it on the table for now. I don't have a packaging for that. I'm going to focus on this.
What should I get going on?
You should just watch me do.
I'll do.
And we'll take it from there.
All right,
So, all right. First of all, this is a beautiful...
What camera is it?
Beautiful new RED Epic W.
Okay.
With the Helium 8K sensor.
Okay.
Magnificent. You'll see later images that I shot with this.
So 8K shoots 8K. So
8K.
You can zoom in like crazy and still have really good quality.
Yeah.
Take the David Fincher approach, shoot 8K, and then...
Yeah, just a wide shot for everything and cut to your extreme... No,
right.
but I actually... So first thing I did, take off the camera, V-mounts, take that out. Yeah, with the punching in, it's actually interesting because it's you think you can like punch in like 1,000% and get rid of all problems, you know, with your wide or whatever, but
your lens probably doesn't have the resolution to do that properly.
Exactly. Like if there's a lot of like chromatic aberration in your lens,
that gets blown up.
Or if it's just not in focus. Like that's not to say that every single, you know what I mean?
It's gotta
like
be completely unforgiving.
So yeah, exactly. It's not like a solve all situation. It depends on your compression ratio. It depends on a lot of things.
Yeah, honestly, if your approach in filmmaking is shooting wide and zooming in later, like, dude, quit your job. Okay, buying an expensive camera like this will not make you a great DOP like Tom McNamara. I get to say that shit about you. You don't get to brag about yourself. I get to brag about you.
Get it all
because
out
I
there.
hired you and I like you. Let's get to it.
All right.
Okay, so
I'm gonna unscrew this this wonderful monitor that is an amazing luxury to have. This is the 7-inch RED Pro.
Yeah, it's so much bigger than the models that I've seen before. Like the RED one, was like a tiny little monitor. Does this come stock? You have to still buy everything separate, right?
Yeah. So I just bought the brain. Everything else was like special order from RED.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Is this the only size they make, or do they have
there's a 4.7-inch one and then the 7 one. The 7 is when you're balling.
Yeah. So.
But it's just such a. I come from like.
Tom's ballin'. Folks, we're not farting.
I don't know if that's being captured right now.
This is the problems of going live. Okay, it was a door. Tom did not fart.
It was.
I farted.
But actually,
not on camera.
So just to show like the form factor and everything, like this is basically it. Like with the obviously the added.
It's tiny as hell, right?
Exactly. I mean, it can be as small as you want it to be. I did a big production 2 weeks ago. It was huge. It was outfitted with all kinds of stuff. But you can keep it as small and secretive as this, and just go and skateboard with this thing, run around with it.
Yeah.
And
can you throw it like on a one of those stabilizers? What do you call it?
Ronin?
Ronin. Does it fit on the Ronin M, or Ronin M is the small one? Right?
Yeah.
It fits on the regular one.
Yeah, it would. And well, it depends on the lens. It depends on what exactly you want to do.
Yeah.
We have a little light like EF Rokinon lens, so you can rock it, but like it just depends.
You can
on
rock
your
it, and your batteries
setup.
are going to start shaking after like 2 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. So you want to, you'd have to like outfit your
but I mean,
battery on the handlebars.
At the end of the day, you're shooting with what? Like how much does this go for? Like fully equipped, like 30, 40 grand?
50.
50?
Yeah.
I mean, spend a little extra to go for the bigger Ronin, you know?
Yeah.
So that makes sense. In terms of form factor, it really looks a lot like if we're going to, let's go that route. Let's compare it to like Arri. You know, it's like it has I think it's like smaller than an Alexa Mini, right? It feels like it's about the same kind of size. In terms of,
I mean, right now I have like the I/O expander module on this.
Okay.
So
what's the I/O expander?
We're gonna take it off in a second, but it's this. There's a back piece on this.
Yeah.
As you can see. Well, actually, as you can't see because I have to take it off first, but it's adding like maybe like this much to the back of it. But
Ass is
otherwise,
thick.
yeah,
Oh, should I be saying that live?
you did.
I did. There you go. All right, moving on.
So right now I'm going to take off the lens.
I feel like we're really inefficient because we got
We
like,
are.
how much time do we have left? We got
Like 3 minutes.
5 minutes or 6 minutes. All right, let's get to work on stuff.
Yeah.
And then once you open that, let's explain what that does and give me stuff to put in. Like, what's this box? I should fill this box with stuff.
So that actually is the mini mag reader.
Yeah.
So you can actually
Got
take
it.
that.
This
so
looks
red,
like a mini mag reader.
exactly.
This probably
That and the
retails
cable.
for
Your house.
$10,000.
Exactly.
Which is my house. I live in a poor, I live in a shanty home. Okay, so I should put this with the Red Mag. Red Mags are, they used to be just SSD drives, right?
Yeah.
They just have their own enclosing on them and stuff. That's the thing about Red is like, they get you, financially, but they still have like really good products. So it's like, yeah, you're getting me. It's kind of like getting screwed over by like a really good prostitute. Like,
yeah.
Not that I'm
Like you got what
encouraging
you
that
came
behavior.
for.
Yeah.
So
You can't really be mad. But
Exactly.
they do good stuff. It's like, at the end of the day, the cameras are so ridiculously cheap compared to how expensive they used to be for like
Yeah.
that level of quality. Even though like now they're way better than they used to be, so it's you're still getting a really good deal out of it.
so right now I'm just like screwing out.
I feel like this cable should go in there. I'm gonna go put that. So this here is
this is the mini mag one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This here's an Allen key. It says red on it, so that ups the value by about 5,000%.
Alan would not be happy about that.
Sorry, Allen.
This is the expander module. You can check it out. This is how much, but like literally,
Okay, so what does
I
this
mean,
have?
what does it have?
So
Oh
you got
yeah, you can
sync
check it out.
cables, CTR. Okay, these are like LOMO cables, right? That's all it is.
Where?
No, HDSDI, DCN, CTRL. What's that to control what?
I actually
It's
don't
like
know.
probably
I've never-
focus and stuff.
I've
and-
never utilized
Okay.
that.
USB, HDMI. Then
Yeah,
you've
it's got everything you need.
And
Little
here's
V-mount
the
bracket.
really cool part about Red. I mean, they do branding really well. It's gorgeous. Everything looks cool. It's really unimportant. But what should I put that in? I think lens. Oh, they got the names on it.
That one I don't think I have anything for.
Okay.
Honestly, I think it just came in like a plastic wrapping. I don't even know
just-
if it had its own box.
We'll just throw that in the glove compartment. We don't have a glove compartment.
That's what the FedEx guy gave it. He
Yeah?
carried it in his glove compartment.
At least he didn't just throw it. All right, what's this? Lemo
Okay, so that is actually
adapter.
to offset if you don't want the monitor directly on top of the camera, because
Yeah.
right here you can see there's a pogo pogo connector.
Mm-hmm.
You can screw in the monitor right there, and it's here all the time, which is really cool. But if you're
Yeah.
doing shoulder stuff,
No,
you
that's-
can offset it so that it's in front of your face. The camera's here,
Okay.
and the monitor's in front of you.
Cool. So I guess this is useful. Does this come stock, or is this like one of those things that comes separate?
Oh, that's very separate. Yeah,
Most things are separate. Conclusion, most things are separate.
this is what you pay for right here.
Top handle. Okay. Show that to the screen.
Oh, there you go.
Look at that.
Look at that red. Gonna catch the light with
Look at
there.
that.
It is.
Oh yeah, look at that.
There it is.
Look at the dust on that sensor.
Want me throwing up on camera? Boom.
Okay, Tom's doing the complicated job of taking apart the camera, and I can't even open this box.
Red is not for everybody, clearly.
Experienced DOPs
Forgot
only.
they're supposed to be seeing our hands, and I'm doing this under the cover of night.
Well, under the cover of night. It's very epic. I'm legitimately confused by this box. Okay, I'm gonna take the time and not stress out and just look
You
at
need
it.
to be an accomplished cinematographer to open that box.
That's-
You need at least 5 features under your belt.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
All right, I figured it out. It's actually very simple. And all of this for a handle. Jeez.
Is that? Yeah, that's what that was for.
Branding, guys, branding.
Yeah.
Oh, it's magnetic. See, that's the thing. So I actually like that about like I like the attention to details that companies give. Like the fact that they embedded these 2 little magnets here and these 2 little magnets here. Like, I don't know, it's like a nice little, it makes you like, it's the quality of the product kind of like aesthetically goes up, right?
That was the 2-minute warning.
I'm impressed. 2
Check it
minutes.
out. Boom.
Yeah.
This is it.
We got a
This
brain.
is the brain. Look at this. Look at this.
It's
Who's
pretty.
got me? Who's got me? There you go.
Ain't nobody got you.
They're on point with their branding, man. Look at that
Yeah.
skull. Jesus. What does Ari give you? Nothing. I'm kidding.
Ari's, I like Ari's style. I actually like Ari's the style of their footage a little little bit more, but I haven't like seen the recent stuff because RED's really evolved.
This is the Canon mount that goes. There's a box for that.
Yeah.
So I have the PL mount and the Canon mount.
This is the lens mount.
I'm going to cinematically close this when it literally gets to the 5-second warning, but it's in the box.
Could you please build up some tension so that we finish like right before the 10 minutes? Like just, I don't know, panic something?
I'll pretend like I've lost something important.
I'm still confused though. So where should we put this?
That just stays on the table.
Even that? Everything?
Screw it.
Okay, well, this is going to be the tension. Can Matt find the box to put this away?
I think he got it.
I think, is this it? Because this already has a thing. Oh my god, plot twist.
So I don't have it.
Plot twist.
Glove compartment.
Glove compartment. Okay. So I think 34 seconds. Let's just call it a day. Okay.
It's a great camera.
Dude. Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, let's put it away. Let's close it. And actually, Tom shot something. So you've been using this camera for how long?
I've had it for about 2-3 months.
Sick.
I've been using it for 2-3 months.
And now you've
took a while to
kind of gotten a grip on it. Okay, 15 seconds. Let's just close it, so that we can actually achieve it. We got it done. Awesome, dude. We did it.
Good job. You helped in a way.
Yeah, I think we could have done it in 5, and doesn't matter. Anyways, Tom you shot like a demo with it, right?
Yeah.
Over how much time?
Over the time that I've had it, I started shooting with it within a week of having it, and so this is just a compendium of the things I've shot with it.
Compendium is the best word I've heard today.
I'll search the word to see if it actually is one, but I think it is.
I love it. So how about we watch it, and then basically, let's watch your reel. Then we're gonna go over on the couch while the reel is gonna play. We're just gonna play footsies, and then we're gonna talk about the camera and more in depth of the ins and outs of it, and then we're gonna give our verdict. Do we want to keep the camera or do we want to return it? And maybe we'll beat the shit out of each other.
I'm hoping for that one. Yeah.
Tom does MMA, and he's like, I don't know if it shows on screen, like twice my size. So anyways, let's roll the reel. And we're back. So we had just watched your reel, which I thought was really awesome looking. Tell us a bit, like, what were those shoots? How were those shooting experiences? Like, how was your first experience shooting with that camera?
Oh, the first experience. Well,
was it your first experience? Like, did you shoot with it before, like, rented?
I used to run a RED back in the day, RED Epic MX back in my New York days. We had some at school, and then me and a buddy would shoot on one like all the time for like freelance gigs in New York. And we rented a few at where I work at Rebel. So it's not my first experience, but with the Helium 8K and being in like the 8K world, that was my first time. So the very,
in terms of like upgrades, how much, like, where is it an upgrade compared to the other cameras that you shoot? Like, what are the attributes of this camera that make it great? Like, why did you go for this one?
Okay, that's actually a good question. So the reason I went with this one was I was in the market for one, but I didn't know if I was going to go RE. I didn't know if I was going to go RED. And also
I knew you were going to go RED.
You did?
You're a RED guy. You always shoot on RED. You've shot a bit on Air, have you?
Yeah. But you're actually mostly in the last like year, it was pretty much only on Alexa.
Cool.
But I guess, historically, I have kind of been a RED guy, I guess.
Historically.
But the reason why I went with this specific one is because I was torn between this one, the Helium Super 35 one, and the Gemini, because RED just dropped. Well, not just dropped. It's the newest sensor, I believe, to be dropped. And the Gemini one was one that they were working on for Elon Musk. Apparently for SpaceX.
No way.
He asked them to develop a sensor for to see in space. So that he needed they developed this
was it like an X-ray filter or something?
Super low light camera, super low light sensor. It was for some kind of SpaceX operation, and because they devised that sensor for him, they were like, well,
Might as well put it out into the
throw it in a
public,
brain.
yeah.
Let's just throw it into a DSMC2 brain. So they did, and they brought out the Gemini.
What's the base ISO on that? Like,
so there's 2 base ISOs. It's a dual ISO camera. So it's 800 and 2000 or 5000. I don't remember.
I mean, if you're thinking about doing space stuff, I bet it's like 5,000. Because like
those
base,
of you who want to shoot in space, that's your go-to right there.
Just talk to your boy Elon. He might give you a lift. And also, if you're like, bro, I shot with a camera you designed, give me a lift.
There you go, man. Talk to Elon.
Talk to Elon.
Yeah, no. It's got a dual ISO. So like the first, I think the first camera.
But like an not an FS7's like base ISO 2000. So I doubt
exactly.
I doubt he's commissioning like RED to do a base ISO 2000 camera.
Yeah, so
it's got to be higher.
Yes, it's 800 and 5000, and so those are 2 different modes. So your dynamic range stays the same when you. So if you're in normal mode, your ISO. Your dynamic range is what it is, so 15, 16 stops, whatever it is. And then when you flip it to low light mode, so 5000 ISO and beyond, the dynamic range remains the same as if you had it rated at 800. Okay. So because when you switch ISO from the base, your dynamic range is
you're losing stops every time you're going up.
Like, so you're losing stops above or beyond middle gray when you change ISO from the base that the manufacturer made the sensor at. Yeah. So that was really cool, and it was also the most affordable camera. Like when I was
so what's the base ISO on this one, on the Helium?
Still 800.
So this is the Helium sensor on a, what is it again that you've got?
So right now the brains are DSMC2 brains. So it's the brain is like the new generation body from the first like Epic that came out. So those are like DSMC1 bodies, and now these ones are the way they look with the little skull and the pogo and the pogo connectors and all that. So so it's a Helium Super 35 sensor that I have in there, and the thing that pushed me from the Gemini one, which was a bit more affordable and super low light friendly, which was good for me. And for everybody, pretty much.
It's really popular these days because, I mean, if you're renting out a camera, like as a director, like lights cost a lot of money also, and all the people that you need to have the lights. So now there's like a bunch of cheaper lighting solutions, you know, right?
And
so
like, you know, if you
can lower the budget so drastically if you've just got a high sensitivity camera.
If you pair the sensitivity of that Gemini sensor with fast lenses, it's, I mean, night shooting, there's so many more things are available to you. But what changed
RED used to not be that great in the low light. I think we can all agree, right? They just very grainy if you don't light it properly. It's just whoa.
Even the Helium, in some cases, it can be the case. I just have accessibility to lights for a lot of the things that I do, so that wasn't a huge concern.
No, you in like you're shooting mostly. Well, not I wouldn't say mostly, but you shoot a lot in studio conditions and stuff, which is like it's a perfect camera for something like that. So I'm a big fan of like there's everyone's like, oh, what's the best camera? Like what's the best camera you can buy? It's like what's the best hammer you can buy? Like that's a stupid analogy, but it is like a tool. It's like what's the tool? It's like what's the best tool for the job? Like what's your job?
Exactly. So that was a concern of mine too. But at the same time, what's the best tool for the job? And then you go with an 8K camera. Well, that is a bit of a sort of oxymoron because I don't need...
It's an overkill.
And we can get into that discussion about 8K and the realities of shooting 8K, and do you really need that?
Yeah, we were talking about... did we talk about it during the live thing? We were so busy with the boxes, but the whole David Fincher approach, shoot at 8K and then punch in post-production.
So that's actually one of the benefits, but I'll just tell you what changed my mind, and then we can get into the 8K universe.
Let's get onto that.
I was watching this, so I'm a huge martial arts fan. And
he can kick people's asses.
There was a Netflix series, that original series that came out called Fight World. Shout out to that, by the way. Everybody should watch that.
Or they'll fight you. So,
and so that came out, and I loved the look of it. I was like, man, and I could tell that it was shot on RED. And I went on IMDb. You can go into tech specs on IMDb to see what everything's shot on if they,
if they filled it out.
If they filled it out, and they did, and it was shot on the Helium sensor, and I was just like, that is the dopest looking thing. I love the look of it, and that's what sealed the deal. That nice. and the not necessarily needing that much of a high performance low light camera.
Yeah, and that is a thing. Like, so me, like as a director, when I hire DOPs for the films that I do, or there's always the question of like, all right, what camera are we shooting on? And a lot of it is what's the scale of the project? Because like you can always make a film like when I did Ujizu, we shot that one on an Alexa Mini.
Yeah.
But originally the approach of like choosing which camera you're going to shoot on also is like which DOP do you want to work with, and then they're going to highly, you know, push for one camera. Yeah. But it also starts with the scale. It's like, so do we want this to be a T2i scale production? Hint, you don't want it to be a T2i.
I was wondering what that scale was, man.
Or you know, do you want to go with like, so how much money do you want to put into the thing? That's the first question. But then after that, when you get into the, am I going ARRI or am I going RED, which is like, it's the classic cliche like of comparing like the two together. But there is like an aesthetic to it. I find that's different. I really liked shooting with, in our case, because we were going for like a bit more of an organic. I find the ARRI has like a bit more of an organic feel, whereas the RED has just like a higher than reality, like just like awesome. Everything is,
you can tell from the reel,
dude. You're real. Like the shots of the black lady with the lighting on that was just amazing. And I was telling you before, like I absolutely love lighting black skin. Did you ever see the movie Moonlight? Or is that it?
Yeah.
My God, it's just because it absorbs such saturations, and just the fall off on the colors was just like amazing. And I think like if in a situation like that, the RED probably did a way better job than an ARRI would have done, just because like it makes it look bigger than life. Whereas with what we were doing, we were going a little bit more available light, which gives it more of like an organic, natural feel. Yeah. And like the ISO, like in low light conditions, I find on ARRIs like just a little bit softer and almost like more film-like, as cliche as that is. Whereas the RED, from what I've seen working with it, it needs to be like lit just like perfect, or else it starts getting like moire and, well, not moire, but like the mix with the colors, it gets like patchy and stuff. I find. So I don't know what we were talking about.
I'd agree that the adjective organic is definitely what's most applied to Alexa footage.
Yeah,
that they seem to.
We have a Jamie. We've been.
I'm not used to this.
Tom got thrown off because we have a voice that randomly went, "Hey Matt, don't forget you have a Jamie."
I was like,
we could, but yeah, actually, that's a good suggestion. So we could maybe throw up some comparative. Oh no, I don't have OJZRU available, but we could throw up some maybe comparative.
You don't have any.
If you guys want to find some ARRI Alexa footage, maybe we can compare that.
There's some on my reel. If you want to go,
let's go do that.
Or not my reel, but on my Vimeo, you could just look up. There's some stuff. Actually, no, don't do that. A lot of stuff isn't out yet.
Well, anyways, guys, if you want to maybe try finding some stuff, Google, we can maybe throw it on. If you can find something, give us a sign, and we're just going to keep talking about this stuff. You were saying about the Irish potato famine?
That's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
No, so I think that, like, definitely organic is a term. But I'll say this about the like sensor that I have.
In Ireland. Okay.
About the sensor that I have. So RED, interesting footage being pulled up.
Oh, there's OJZRU.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. So yeah, that's actually the short film that I shot with Jesus himself. We shot on an Alexa.
He must have been hard to cast.
I mean,
who's he with?
You rub him the right way, he's down.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so.
Oh, that was just a trailer.
Yeah, that makes sense, because I was like, is this available online? I screwed up. But basically, yeah. So back to the difference in style of the two.
Yeah. Okay. No. So for
organic
for RED, they definitely, I would say, the new generation sensors. From when I used to run one back in the day, the MX sensor, it definitely has come a long way in terms of the organic qualities. I would say with the new
didn't they put out an update recently? Like they kind of revised.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you're talking about IPP2.
Okay. So I hope I am. Please explain it. I'm curious.
That's a new like uniting workflow that is basically so when you can select in camera or in post, because you're shooting raw, to go IPP2, and that's a new workflow that RED has instilled in their cameras. So it's got like its own new color space and gamma curve. So RED wide gamut RGB and Log3 G10 make up IPP2, and so that it's just more tonally pleasing. It's got a
it's a different color rendition.
Yeah, exactly. And it's got like just like it's got like an amazing highlight roll off, because that was something that Ari would always destroy Red in.
Exactly. I think that's where the difference is in what we sort of refer to as being like that organic feel is like that.
Well, that's exactly
that harshness.
It's that
Red
and
has.
skin tone rendition that really kind of leads to organic.
And that's really cool. So we've got some Ari footage. I think maybe playing right now.
That's my stuff.
That's your stuff.
Which is shot on Ari. So it's interesting to see this now. But look at the wonderful organic.
Yeah.
But you see, and that's actually really.
So, but what you're saying though also is that now with this new sort of update, you can shoot in something similar to this style. Like Red has gotten closer to this organic feel.
Exactly. That's with the latest sensors. It's a lot more organic than it used to be. The highlight roll off is a lot better. Skin tones look a lot nicer, I think, than they used to. And also because you're shooting, 16-bit RAW, there's so many post-production capability. Exactly. Yeah. And there's so many like beautiful LUT packages that you can get that emulate film, that of course help skin tone and all that. So like I think that Red has kind of taken from Ari a little bit and incorporated this kind of like more organic film-like look in their new sensors.
Yeah. In terms of a company, I think Red's really awesome too. Like they came out of they were like Ari's like 100 years old, like probably literally.
Yeah.
And Red like came out of nowhere like what 20, 30 years ago? I'm not sure.
No,
probably less than that, right?
2007.
It's
Red 1.
crazy.
The Red 1 came out in 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
Jay
and
by Soderbergh.
Yeah.
That was the first film shot on Red 1.
And I like Red personally a lot because like I'm freestyle skier, and one of the guys who started the company is also, he was with Level 1. It was like one of the first skiing films that was shot with it, and he was like one of the guys behind the company. I vaguely know this.
Well, the guy who created Red, the founder, is the founder of Oakley.
Oakley, that's what I was
which is
thinking.
huge in the ski world.
Exactly. So I think it's like he took like that whole branding side of it, but I think it's, at the end of the day, I mean, you're making cameras. You're not making like, you're not Apple, you're making cameras. Just focus on making good quality cameras is what you could easily say, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they came out of nowhere like in 2007, and now they're huge, and they've like overtaken, I bet, like probably half the market from Ari, and they're extremely competitive, which is awesome. In terms of shooting experience, how is it shooting with? I remember the first time I encountered a Red in the wild. The fan on the thing.
Oh yeah,
they were so loud.
Yeah, no, I mean
this is old Red problem, right? They don't have any problems like that anymore.
No, I mean you have fan settings, so you can just like.
What would you say are like the downsides of this camera right now? Like if you had to say anything. It's expensive. I would like it to be cheaper.
Yeah, but I can't if again you're using Ari as like kind of the comparative, then I would say there is no downside.
Yeah, it's already cheaper.
Well, exactly.
And the quality is extremely good.
Yeah, because I rang up Ari because I was also I shot with the Alexa Mini a couple times, and it's fucking amazing.
I love that camera.
Yeah, but you shot on it too. Like, but the thing is, it's prohibitively expensive. Like
I like that word.
Yeah.
Tom's a man with great words. I mean, prohibitively is a nice. It's not a dude. Yeah, but prohibitively is not that big. But just the fluidity with which you've used it, and just like you whipped it out, I love it. Yeah.
It's very, very, very expensive, and that was also I can't lie, that was something also that pushed me towards Red.
Yeah.
At the same time, because if I had to choose, well, I don't know if I would say this, but I was about to say, like, if I had to, if price was not an option, then I'd have gone with the Alexa Mini. That's maybe true, but I'm also extremely happy with this.
Yeah.
Another downside, I mean, you can't really claim the size of footage as a downside, because when
what you're getting into, but for sure that's something you need. Okay, so if you're buying this, you need to take that into consideration.
You do, because
your file handling
the thing
is insane.
where Red can where it can get you a little bit is in terms of recording media, because it's not like a CFast card, so the Mini you shoot on CFast 2.0 cards, and those are a lot more affordable than a RED mini mag, because those are extremely expensive.
Yeah.
And I have one 480 gig card.
Yeah, CFast is like a universal standard, right? It works. It's not just an ARRI.
No, it's
thing.
not proprietary.
Exactly, which means there's competition and a bigger market, which means that they can sell it for cheaper.
Exactly, but this
compared to RED Max,
it's because of the
proprietary nature. Proprietary is
well, I was going to say because of the speeds at which it has to operate. It's proprietary to RED, the mini mag. The mini mags, they are. I can't see, but can you read how much?
How much does that go for?
It's right there. I don't have my glasses. I can't.
That goes for, I think it says here, $1 million. Yeah, that's like 1,200.
So to just get one,
ouch.
I had to kidnap a rich girl, and sell her
ransom
for one card, for one 480 gig mini mag.
Yeah,
it's just crazy.
What do rich girls go for these days?
$1 million.
That's. Or a RED mag.
It depends what rings you offload them and everything. But that's you got to get a mini mag. Otherwise, I couldn't shoot my beautiful reel if I didn't do that.
Does this so in terms of, let's go back to the best tool for the job conversation, would shooting a documentary with this be possible? I assume you can you can change your resolution settings and everything, right? So
what's cool is I think that sometimes when you say 8K, it can be a deterrent either to jobs or to just people initially. So they go I'm not going to shoot this in 8K.
Yeah.
But you go, but you don't, first of all, have to.
Yeah.
Second, so you can, if you have a lot of, if you have a lot of recording media, then you could totally do it, because you could just shoot ProRes.
Yeah.
You don't have to shoot R3D.
Right. So you can do 8K ProRes 422?
Not 8K ProRes. You go at 4K ProRes Max.
Which is still a lot.
Which is,
Yeah.
And so you could, yes.
What's ProRes Max? Is it just 444? And they call it Max because it has all of the color space?
Why did I say Max?
I don't know. To sound cool. You say sometimes you say words to sound cool.
You can go up to 4K maximum when you're in ProRes.
That makes sense.
ProRes Max is not a codec yet.
Yeah. We're going to brand it.
Yeah, so you can shoot 4K ProRes 422, 4444, whatever you want, and then that's what you're getting. And then
if you're doing a documentary, naturally that's what you're going to be doing.
Yeah, you wouldn't shoot raw R3D.
No, the 8K raw would probably be for high level commercial stuff that you want to have.
And there's actually some, not debate, but there's I've seen some threads and forums where people ask well, what's the difference really between R3D and ProRes 4444? And it's true that for a lot of applications you don't if you really think about your project,
if you're not stretching your color like crazy, and
do you need to shoot raw? Because for a documentary thing, especially if you're out in the wilderness shooting run and gun, the camera is extremely it's a dream to operate.
On the for Au Jésus with the Alexa, we actually shot in ProRes 422. And I was like, should we shouldn't we go for raw?
It does internal raw.
And but we went with the ProRes 422. I put my trust in my DOP, Juliette, who's really good. I love Juliette. I love you too, Tom. You're both my favorite DOPs.
Coin.
Also, I have too many. Okay, I have a lot of favorite DOPs. So we shot in ProRes 422.
Yeah.
And then, so that got me nervous. But I mean, we ran some tests, and then in terms of image quality, we weren't gonna stretch the footage like crazy.
You ran some tests between 422 and
the
Quad
raw.
4?
And
raw.
Well, the highest that you can get out of the Alexa, which if I'm not mistaken, is raw.
Yeah.
So basically, and we went with the ProRes 422, and the file handling was just a lot more realistic. The editing was a lot more fluid, and so it's so in terms of
that's actually one thing we can't talk about is the post-production workflow on this, because that's really where the conversation about 8K and all this stuff
I was wondering also for the 8K first of all, what screens can even resolve 8K? Or can your lenses resolve 8K?
So I mean, the stuff that you saw on the reel was stuff shot with really, really beautiful lenses. So
you're renting out
exactly.
Stuff.
So we shot on Master Primes, Cook S4s. But in terms of I guess we'll go in order. In terms of workflow, that can be a little bit of a drag, just because of if you shoot. The thing is, if you're shooting ProRes, obviously the benefit is in post-production and hard drive space. I mean, obviously. So if you're shooting, 4K ProRes 422, you, instead of having 32 minutes on a 480 gig card, you'd have an hour and a half.
And then you've got to get data wranglers, and you got to get
so it's
the whole logistics also to it. Sometimes it's the difference between a 4-person crew and a 6-person crew, just because,
and then
or
also,
whatever your numbers, but
the really cool thing about the camera too is how flexible it is, because you can just shoot ProRes, you can shoot R3D and ProRes, and you can just shoot R3D.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So obviously, shooting R3D and ProRes is a dream, because you've got
your proxies already set up. You go into editing and you just
But then
doesn't RED like already organize it when you're starting like your when you're starting your project, doesn't RED already organize your proxies in, like, let's say you're editing in Premiere?
Yeah.
Do you have to connect yourself, or does it have like a program that sets it up for you? Or
if you want to create proxies, if you didn't shoot some in camera?
No, if you shot your proxies. Like, is it a workflow that you just plug it in, import, and you're automatically editing your proxies, and then...
Yeah. I mean, you'd have to drag them into your... But it's super easy. It would just be in your folder for where you have your raw R3D files, and then you just have a .mov in the folder. Throw that in there. And
so they've thought about the whole workflow of it too, which is like...
So obviously shooting like R3D and proxy simultaneously is great, but then you also got to think of like card space. So if you're like me, and because RED Minimags are also prohibitively expensive, I only have one for now. Yeah. So you have to think about that, because I was, a couple times I've been on jobs where I'm like, okay, well, I was looking at that, media remaining percentage, and I was like, shit. Gotta finish gotta make sure I get everything.
Is there like a good renting market? Like, I bet you could probably rent some, right?
You can rent individual RED Minimags. I did that on the...
Do places like Cineground and stuff like that rent out only the mags?
Yeah, I've done it.
I think that's really cool. That's a good
idea. Cool. And they're not that expensive, so that's why I haven't gone in and like purchased a second one, just because it's really expensive.
It's probably a good approach.
I'd rather put my money elsewhere for now, and I know that on a job I can just
justify it in the budget. It's like you've got high shooting, and now we're gonna need to have it.
There's a Minimag graph.
There you go, guys. We've got a Minimag graph. It says stuff on it, so you guys could look at it. And
I don't have my glasses, so I can't really see it.
I can't see like an eagle. The screen's like about 5 feet away.
If you guys at home got the most of that graph, thanks, Sean.
Enjoy it.
He brought it up.
That's right. Thanks, Matt. You see, man. Represent.
Coming up big with the Minimag graphs. The thing is, if you just shoot R3D, because if you shoot R3D and ProRes at the same time, it can fill up your card in a second, because you're obviously recording more than just the raw. You're recording a whole other file. So that takes up a lot of space in your card as well. So if you don't want to do that, and you just want to go R3D, then that's a whole thing, because, I don't know about you guys, but, I don't have the world's most powerful computer, and I can't just edit the R3D raw. That's
the whole thing, is like, and you're investing in the camera, and it's like, that's the money involved with that. We've talked about that. But then your old hard drive too, if you're shooting in 8K, I mean, you're like doubling. If you're going from 1080 to 8K, you're not only doubling the data that like you're storing, you're like probably 10 times, because you're going raw compared to like H.264. Poof, like That's a lot of data.
It really.
So there's a lot of like side costs involved with going into a camera on this scale.
Sometimes side costs of time, because if you're shooting just raw, now you got to like transcode everything. Yeah. You got to make proxies that fills up your hard drive as well. Mm-hmm. So it's a whole thing. But I'll say this: so that's kind of a downside. But the upside is when you're done editing, the client said it's picture lock. You reconnect back to your 8K raw,
and then you let the camera work
and
the computer work.
Yeah. But so the upside is when you bring it all back, you color correct your raw, you bring it back into a 1080p timeline, you do your punch ins, you put your sound back, you do your phase, whatever, you bounce it out, and you look at it on a screen. That's when you go, oh shit.
Oh, this is why it did this.
Exactly. Yeah. Because also this is an upside to 8K that a lot of people don't think about, because there's the punching in. So if you, let's say you're in your edit and you set, like, let's say the deliverable for the client is an HD deliverable. Yeah. Well, you shot 8K. Punching in is great. You can punch in until the image starts fucking up. There's no tried and true equation.
No, for the distance.
No, exactly. No. You just got to play by eye.
I think it starts falling apart. Like I was editing a contract this week, and it was a big mix of like I had some 4K footage, like from 4K to 720p. It's like this big like sports recap for like the whole year.
Oh yeah.
And I was editing all this footage that they gave me, and it's like, so some of that 4K footage I could punch into like 3 times without it being like too bad, but some of it I could only punch in twice, like maybe like 130%. But that's really, I think it breaks apart on the lowest, like the weakest link, and the weakest link often is your lens. Like if you've just got a soft lens on there, you're all you're doing is amplifying your chromatic aberrations, you're amplifying your soft focus, so
noise. Depends on your exposure too.
So I think that's usually where it goes, and that's why there's like no equation to it. But so you were saying you can either punch in, or the other option I assume you're going to say is your downscaling.
Exactly. Yeah. So you got the punching in is a wonderful thing, right? But also stabilization, because you can punch in and stabilize.
Oh yeah.
So obviously that's a huge benefit as well. But I think that the best thing is, so you set you set your project to the deliverable that the client wants. So they want an HD one, they want a 4K one. So let's say you're in your HD timeline. Well, when down resing from 8K to HD does wonders. It makes everything sharper. It makes it reduces your noise level. You really get an amazing HD image basically from the 8K master. So that's something that down-resing. Yeah,
I've heard that. I've heard that about the whole downscaling to lower resolution, increasing basically the sharpness. Basically, if like you guys are kind of like on the border of understanding what we're talking about here, is what we're explaining is when you're going from like a higher resolution footage and your final video you're putting into a lower resolution. Basically, that whole process makes it better. Like you're saying, it makes it cleaner. I've never really like I love getting into the technical stuff of like understanding like how and why it becomes better. I've never really grasped it,
the way that
but I've seen it. Like it does make a difference. If you shoot higher resolution, export lower, it's better than if you would have shot at that resolution.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, it's a pixel thing. So it's basically like, so your 8K master has a certain number of pixels, and you're exporting to a platform that has a certain number of pixels. Yeah. So what it's going to do is it's going to combine within like one photo site, I think. Yeah. Where there was 1 million pixels, there is now 1. So that pixel contains more information. Exactly.
Yes,
it's quantitatively sharper, more
the
color
place
information.
Where I sort of lose the understanding of that phenomenon is the whole Moire aspect. So basically, Moire is when you've got
Yes, I heard that.
Moire is when you've got like these lines that are intersecting or they're playing around very closely, and if you have like too high of a resolution, what ends up happening is they kind of like overlap in movements, and it creates these like funky patterns. So I mean, I wasn't explaining that for you. Tom's a qualified DOP.
I'm an expert in Moire.
Yeah, that's how he got his job. He's like, I know what Moire is. Could you hire me? But yeah, I always like kind of, so I understand that sort of downscaling and the pixel aspect, how that works, but the whole side of it being like, how does that work with the Moire? Because like, I haven't noticed that dramatic of an increase in, well, no, I think that's the trade-off. Like I'm thinking back to a video clip that I shot in 4K a couple years ago, and that was kind of the trade-off that I noticed, is you start getting Moire depending on what you shot if you're downscaling like that.
I've not noticed anything in that realm. It's all been very positive, but I there's a lot more to be shot for me. Yeah. I've like all the stuff in the reel has been what I've shot so far with it, and I've shot a lot of challenging situations and all that. I've never gotten anything.
Maybe last question I think is like kind of the whole best tool for the job kind of question. Like, what sort of is this a camera that is, because it's great for studio situations. We talked about all the resolutions and all the aspects that make it a great camera, but like when I think of a camera on this category, on this level, I think of the productions that I've sort of been on set with, where you have like at least a 12-person crew. You've got people setting up the lights. You've got everything. Is this a good camera for, like, let's say you're doing a one-man show gig where you're showing up and you're handling your lights, you've got a bit more time, or just like run and gun? Can this be run and gun? Basically?
I think more than any other camera, this one can be, because it's so modular, and it's so it's so easy to cater to the type of shoot that you need. I think that's what RED's made its mark in the industry. That's what they've made their mark with, is selling,
because of that whole modular aspect of it.
Exactly. It's so friendly to any type of shoot that The answer to that is yes, because a lot of those gigs that you've seen in that reel has been just single operator, single everything, except the ones that obviously aren't, the ones with like a lot more production value. So I dropped a couple of those in there, but most of them are just me running around with an easy rig and pulling focus, doing whatever lighting there is to be done. And so I can tell you that yes, it's modular, it's so easily maneuverable, it's so flexible.
So I think that's good too, because like I think that's like probably, if you're buying a camera, that's probably the most important question is like, yes, we know we can handle studio situations, but I mean, if you're looking to fork out that much money, it's a big investment. Like for a DOP to say like, okay, I'm going to invest the next 5 years of my career into this camera. There's the risk of buying something that's too big that will not fit into these other contracts that you could be getting. That are more run and gun, right?
That's why I brought up the idea that saying like, you know, I'm running with an Epic W with the 8K helium sensor. People immediately go, oh, whoa, that's too much for me. It's like, well, first of all, it isn't. Second of all, we don't have to max out the sensor. You don't need. It can shoot ProRes.
It's kind of like the equivalent of going to a job application and being like, you're overqualified.
Exactly. But you go like, no, but I can also, you know, I don't have to work at the fullest of my qualifications. You can dial it back a little bit, and for most applications, for most projects, it's fine.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, you could always have like a backup like A7S, which is like probably the cost of a RED mag, you know. So
I actually just the other day matched an A7S to a RED for this thing that I shot. It was like a TED Talk type of thing. And it was A7S Master. Well, completely eclipsed you. It was a A7S Master Wide with the RED being like the sort of like close-up camera. And in terms of color, easy.
I bet you matched the RED to the Sony, right? Because that probably gave you more flexibility than the other way around.
Well, I think I actually dropped a RED IPP2 LUT on the A7S footage.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's log for both, so it matched very, very easily.
Honestly, there's so much flexibility. It still makes a difference. Like you still probably preferred your RED angle over the Sony angle, but the whole fact that you can cut from one to the other and not just go like, is like that used to not be possible.
I mean, what helped us there
really
was
cool.
like the drastic difference in shot value. Like that was like a wide of the entire room and the speaker, like a little speaker in the background. And then like it was so drastic that you don't really notice, and it wasn't the type of gig where it really matters if you do notice.
Yeah.
But I just think it's so modular. There's so much flexibility with how you can shoot, and it's been a dream.
So run and gun, check. I think we should bring back the tension in the room, other than the whole sexual tension that's going on.
That's palpable.
Another great word. How about we do the verdict? Let's do the reboxing verdict. So just to remind you guys, we're going to have to be voting on whether or not we want to return the camera to the store, because we put it back in the box and stuff. If we disagree on the whole reboxing,
we'll be warming up.
Yeah, we might be boxing, and I don't want to fight with Tom, so let's figure that out.
And Sean, do you have a preferred area that you would like the blood to not splatter on?
Obviously mine.
You know whose?
I'm pre-injured.
Does it matter whose blood?
Okay. All right, guys. So we're back. Tom,
back.
I would ask if you're feeling nervous, but seeing as you've probably already destroyed like a dozen guys, and that I've like never fought, yeah, I assume the answer is no. But so I think maybe we'll cut to the wide shot, and on go, let's just reveal our results.
Do we reveal it to the camera first and then ourselves?
Let's reveal it to the central camera and then look at ourselves, okay? Let's leave it on for like 2 Mississippis.
Okay, you can.
All right, guys. You guys ready for this? Are we going to fight in 3, 2, 1? What's yours?
Keeping it.
We're still friends. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Me and Tom are not going to fight it out. That was the reboxing video.
High five, bro.
Thanks, guys. That's all for today. That's Rich. Have a good night.